The storm arrived without warning. One moment, the sky above the small town was bright and clear, and the next, dark clouds rolled in like a wall of shadows. The wind howled through the streets, rain hammered rooftops, and tree branches bent under the force of nature. It was the kind of storm that made people rush indoors and lock their doors. But for Rowan Mercer, there was no time to worry about the weather. As a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Juniper, every day felt like a battle against time. Between working long hours at the local furniture workshop and caring for his daughter, he rarely had a moment to himself. Ever since his wife had passed away 5 years earlier after a sudden illness, Rowan had devoted every piece of his heart to giving Juniper a safe and loving life. Their small farmhouse sat on the edge of town, surrounded by open fields and old oak trees. It wasn't fancy. The roof needed repairs, the paint was fading, and money was always tight. But it was home. That evening, Rowan was helping Juniper finish her homework when a flash of lightning lit up the windows. Seconds later, thunder shook the entire house. Then came a knock at the door. It wasn't a normal knock. It was urgent. Rowan exchanged a glance with his daughter before walking toward the entrance. When he opened the door, he found a woman standing in the pouring rain. She looked exhausted. Her dark coat was soaked, her hair clung to her face, and her hands trembled from the cold. Despite her condition, there was something dignified about her. Something that suggested she wasn't accustomed to standing helplessly in storms. Without hesitation, Rowan invited her inside. The woman introduced herself as Serena Vale. She explained that her car had broken down several miles away during the storm. Her phone battery had died, and with the roads nearly flooded, she had been forced to walk through the rain searching for help. Rowan offered her a towel, dry clothes, and a warm meal. Juniper insisted on sharing her favorite blanket. As the storm raged outside, the three of them sat around the small kitchen table eating homemade soup. For the first time in years, laughter filled the farmhouse. Serena noticed everything. She noticed the patched furniture Rowan had repaired himself. She noticed the careful way he listened to his daughter. She noticed how he always made sure Juniper had enough before serving himself. Most of all, she noticed something she rarely encountered in her own world. Genuine kindness. What Rowan didn't know was that Serena wasn't just a stranded traveler. She was the CEO of one of the largest technology companies in the country. Her face appeared on business magazines. Investors competed for meetings with her. Thousands of employees worked under her leadership. Yet none of those people knew her the way this small family had known her for a single evening. To them, she was simply a woman caught in a storm. The next morning, the skies cleared. Sunlight spilled across the fields, making the wet grass sparkle like glass. A tow truck arrived, followed by a sleek black vehicle. Before leaving, Serena thanked Rowan and Juniper for their hospitality. She handed Rowan a business card. He barely glanced at it. He wasn't helping her because he wanted something. He was helping because it was the right thing to do. As Serena drove away, Rowan assumed he would never see her again. Life returned to normal. Or at least, as normal as life could be. Bills continued piling up. The workshop where Rowan worked began losing customers. Rumors spread that layoffs might happen soon. Every night, Rowan worried about keeping the farmhouse. Every morning, he forced himself to smile for Juniper. Weeks passed. Then one afternoon, an unfamiliar luxury SUV pulled into the driveway. Serena stepped out. This time she wasn't wearing a rain-soaked coat. She was dressed professionally, carrying confidence that seemed impossible to miss. Rowan finally learned who she really was. The revelation left him speechless. He couldn't understand why someone so successful had returned to his tiny farmhouse. But Serena hadn't come because she felt obligated. She had come because she couldn't stop thinking about them. In a world obsessed with status, wealth, and appearances, Rowan had treated her with kindness when he believed she had nothing to offer him. That kind of character was rare. Over the following months, Serena visited often. Sometimes she brought books for Juniper. Sometimes she helped around the farm. Sometimes she simply sat on the porch talking with Rowan while the sun stretched across the fields. A friendship began to grow. Then something deeper. Yet neither of them admitted it. Both carried scars. Rowan feared opening his heart after losing his wife. Serena had spent years building a successful career but had sacrificed personal relationships along the way. The closer they became, the more afraid they were of what it meant. Then disaster struck. The furniture workshop closed unexpectedly. Rowan lost his job. For the first time in years, he faced the possibility of losing everything. The stress became overwhelming. He considered selling the farmhouse. He wondered if all his efforts had been for nothing. When Serena learned what happened, she offered help. But Rowan struggled with accepting it. His pride told him he needed to solve his problems alone. His heart told him he was exhausted. One evening, after a difficult day, he sat on the porch watching the sunset. Juniper rested beside him. The little girl quietly took his hand. At that moment, Serena arrived. She sat beside them in silence. No speeches. No business advice. No promises. Just presence. And sometimes, presence is the greatest gift one person can give another. Gradually, Rowan allowed himself to trust. With Serena's encouragement, he opened a custom woodworking business using skills he had developed over years of craftsmanship. She connected him with people who appreciated quality work. But the success that followed wasn't handed to him. He earned it. Months later, orders began arriving from across the region. His creations became known for their beauty and attention to detail. For the first time, financial stability seemed possible. More importantly, happiness returned. One bright spring afternoon, Rowan stood outside the farmhouse watching Juniper play in a field of wildflowers. Serena stood beside him. The wind gently moved through the grass. The same property that once symbolized struggle now felt filled with possibility. That was when Rowan finally realized something. The storm that had brought Serena to his door hadn't ruined his life. It had changed it. Not because she was wealthy. Not because she was powerful. But because she had reminded him that even after tremendous loss, life could still surprise you. Love could still find you. And hope could still grow where pain once lived. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Love and Destiny. Your support helps these uplifting stories reach more people who need a little hope in their day. Special request: comment below with the word kindness if you believe one small act of compassion can completely change someone's destiny. Years later, whenever storms rolled across the countryside, Rowan would stand by the window and smile. Because he knew that the darkest night of his life had brought the brightest blessing he could have imagined. And somewhere beyond the rain, destiny had quietly found its way home.